Om Shri Krishna Parabrahmane Namaha. In our India, we have lots of pilgrim centers. Wherever you go, we have a sort of pilgrimage center which possesses its tradition and culture. Everywhere we can find the history of the temple, the river, whatever the natural scenes or scenario. In this regard, we can find so many cultural traditions, especially in pilgrimage centers. In India, we have popular 7 pilgrimage centers: Ayodhya, Mathura, Maya, Kashi, Kanchi, Avantika, Puri, Dwaravati, Chaiva, Saptaitah, Mokshadayakaha. These 7 pilgrim centers are meant for giving us moksha, liberation or salvation. Whatever the pilgrim center, it possesses its own peculiarity. When we go Kashi, Lord Vishwanatha and Kashi Vishalakshi, we can find. Even there is a river, Ganga. If you take a dip in Ganga river, we are get rid of from our sins. Such beliefs people used to follow. When we go for South India, there are so many pilgrim centers. Each and every pilgrimage center has its own reputation and its own greatness. If you go Tanjavur, we can see Brihadishwara temple and Kumbeshwara temple, Sarangapani, Chakrapani, so many like this. It is called a temple city. There is a river called Kaveri. When you come to Andhra, goddess Vijaya Durga, Vijayawada Kanaka Durga, the city is built at the river Krishna. When you go east or west Godavari, so many historical Shakti Pitas, Pancharamas we can find near the river Godavari. Like this, wherever you go, there will be simultaneously pilgrimage center as well as holy rivers. Both have its own credits and reputations. This is what we have to feel proud of our Indian tradition and culture. Therefore, foreign people also come in numbers to visit these pilgrimage centers and get cured their peaceful life and troubles. They are coming to get the kind of sanctity when they put their leg on that land of India. Even Swami Vivekananda, when he went to Chicago for the World Religious Conference, he expressed his views about Indian culture and traditions to the people of different countries. Then onwards, our Indian culture and tradition got its own fame and name. Previously, people of foreigners think we are buffoons and illiterates like these, stupids, superstitious people like this. When they came to our land, motherland India, finding the art and architecture and greatness of temples and greatness of culture and sculpture, they wondered. They couldn't get such a peace of mind in their own land. Therefore, we have to feel very, very proud of having so many pilgrim centers in India. Most of the people know, but not in detail. Therefore, we have to know the greatness of ours at first. Basing on that, I want to bring you the greatness of our Indian culture and tradition. So I took the topic of 7 pilgrimage centers. It cannot be described in one video. Therefore, I took 2 parts. Now I come for first part, 7 pilgrimage center. Let me start with prayer. Ayodhya, Mathura, Maya, Kashi, Kanchi, Avantika, Puri, Dvaravati, Chaiva, Saptaite, Mokshadayaka. Ayodhya, Mathura, Maya, Puri or Haridwar, Kashi, Varanasi, Kanchi, Kanchipuram, Avantika, Ujjaini, and Dwaravati means Dwaraka. These 7 cities are called giver of moksha, salvation. So they are called moksha puris. These 7 whole cities has its own reputation. The Saptapuri are places of birth of religious and spiritual masters, places where gods have descended as avatars, mean incarnate, such as Ayodhya, where Rama was born, and places considered as Nitya Tirthas, naturally endowed with spiritual powers since ages, such as Varanasi and Haridwar. Kanchipuram is known for its Kamakshi Amman temple dedicated to Mother Goddess. Dwaraka represents the place where God Krishna, after leaving Mathura, spent 100 years before he left for his divine abode from here. According to the epic Mahabharata, Mathura is the embodiment of events in the life of Lord Krishna during his childhood and young days. Haridwar, with the shrines of both Lord Shiva and Lord Vishnu, represents the gateway of Uttarakhand, as a sacred river Ganges emerges from the hills into the plains at the place. Varanasi is the place of salvation, as it is strongly believed that death at this place will bring salvation, mean moksha, mukti. Varanasi is the holiest of all, and it is favorite to Lord Shiva and Parvati. Thus, it is often referred as city of Lord Shiva. Especially in Hinduism, one should visit the major temples in Varanasi surroundings in his or in her lifetime. Ujjaini, also known by the ancient name Avanti, has one of the 12 Jyotirlingas installed in the Mahakaleshwara temple. Each of these cities is also famous for the spectacular meals, the spectacular melas, mean Kumbh Mela, etc., or fairs held, mean Utsavas will be held. Haridwar and Ujjain are famous for the Kumbh Mela, held for every 12 years. Marriage festival of Kamakshi at Kanchipuram is a special occasion. Krishna Janmashtami is a special occasion in Dwaraka as well as in Mathura. The 7 religious cities are within India's territorial ambit, and pilgrimage to these places greatly enhances the unity of its linguistic and cultural diversity. The 7 sacred urban centers are well connected by road, rail, and air transport with the rest of the country. Let us take for Ayodhya. A view of Ayodhya in 1783, then called Oudh, Uttar Pradesh. Ayodhya is a legendary place where Lord Rama was born, and it is also sometimes referred to as Rama Janma Bhoomi. The modern town is located on the banks of river Sarayu, also spelt Sarayu. There is a surfeit of temples in this town, numbering over 100. Some of the important ones are Temple of Rama and his wife Sita called Kanaka Bhavan. Hanuman temple is called Hanuman Garhi. On top of a hill where, apart from a Hanuman statue in a sitting posture, there is also a 6 inches tall image of Hanuman, always bedecked by flowers. The Kshireswaranatha temple of Sita, established by Kaushalya, Rama's mother. In addition, there are several kunds or ponds or ghats, bathing steps to approach river or tank water level, with linkage to mythological characters such as Brahma Kund, built in honor of Brahma's visitor, Sita Kund, on the name of Sita, Bharat Kund, Lakshman Kund or Ghat, where Lakshmana, Rama's brother, took bath. Rama's Ghat is also called Swargadwar, meaning gateway to heaven. There is a legend related to Kusha, son of Lord Rama, in support of Nageshwaranatha temple here. The armlet which Kusha had lost in the Saryu river was found by a Nagakanya, a damsel of serpent family, a devotee of Lord Shiva, who fell in love with Kusha. A temple was built by Kusha in her honor and is stated to be the only surviving ancient temple dated to the reign of Vikramaditya. The historic legacy of this place is traced to 6th century BC, as established by archaeological and literary references. Rama Krishna was born here, and hence it is also popularly known as Krishna Janma Bhumi, and means Krishna's birthplace. Mathura is replete with several historical events. Based on archaeological findings of ancient pottery tools and tackles, Mathura's ancient history has been traced to about 1200 BC. Vedic and Puranic literature also link founding of Mathura by Shatrughna, youngest brother of Rama. The Puranas also mention about 2 clans, namely Andhaka and Vrishni. The latter clan was more organized under Lord Krishna, attesting to historical linkage to the period between 6th century and 5th century BC. Mauryan Empire's influence from the 4th century BC, when there was a domination of Jain and Buddhist religious culture, have been noted from the sculptures recorded in Mathura. We can see it now also. From this period, it has been inferred that the city had a significant impact on the development of figurative sculpture elsewhere in the country. It was also a commercial hub during this period, imbibing composite culture and religious ethos, apart from establishing a prospering commerce both within and across the borders of the region. Following the Mauryan rule, the Kushans ruled till 3rd century AD, when the sacred and secular lifestyles coalesced. Then a number of rulers followed, with the Gupta ruling between Samudragupta, etc. kings, at 330 AD. There was a decline in the prosperity of Mathura. The Huns sacked the city in the 6th century. Thereafter, the city was enthralled by Maukhari dynasty of Kanauj when Lord Krishna's cult evolved from the 7th century onwards to make the city a hub of Krishna worship in the country. Then Muhammad of Ghazni invaded and ransacked Mathura and decamped with all religious treasures made of gold and silver. This was followed by ushering in the rule of slave dynasty or Delhi Sultanate from 1193 AD and subsequently by the Mughal dynasty rule, which lasted till the British took over. The Mughal rule, in particular of Aurangzeb, saw the highest level of persecution when in 1669 the Keshava temple was demolished and in its place a mosque was built. Even though the Jat community of the region tried unsuccessfully to restore some of the temples, but repeated Muslim rulers, depredation continued, and it was not until the British Raj came into effect after the Sepoy mutiny in 1857 that Lord Krishna worship in Mathura got a reprieve. British archaeologists were successful in recreating the ancient historical city of the city and providing insight to Indian culture. Krishna temples and ancient history are now both major attractions of the city. The present Keshav Dev temple has been built at the same location where several major temples had built in the 5000 years of hoary past, which is traced to Vajranabha, the great grandson of Lord Krishna. A grand temple was rebuilt during the reign of Chandragupta Vikramaditya in the year 5th century that was sacked by Muhammad Ghazni. Thereafter, at the same location, Raja Veer Singh Deva Bundela had built a 250 feet high temple during Jahangir's reign, which was also destroyed by Aurangzeb in the year 1669, and a mosque built in temple complex also has a small shrine where Lord Krishna was born, depicting images of Vasudeva, Devaki, and four-armed Lord Krishna. On the bank of Yamuna river, at Vishram Ghat Aarti is offered every evening to the river, since it is stated to be the location where Lord Krishna rested after slaying King Kamsa. Who was Kamsa? He was his maternal uncle. Images of goddess Yamuna and her brother Yama, the god of death, are also located here. There are many other temples of importance to pilgrims or pilgrimage. It's a place which can be seen adjoining the present temple. The present temple was completed in the year 1958 with installation of images of Radha and Krishna, Radha Krishna. In the adjoining altars, several images have been installed. On the left altar, images of Jagannath, a form of Krishna, Balarama, who is Krishna's brother, and Subhadra, Krishna's sister, are seen. On the right altar, idols of Rama, Sita, and Lakshmana are all installed. Right across there is a Hanuman idol. Images of Lord Shiva and Goddess Durga are also seen within the main temple foyer. The main temple complex also has a small shrine where Lord Krishna was born, depicting images of Vasudeva, Devaki, and Lord Krishna. Within Mathura, we can see few such: the Prem Mandir, Vrindavan, Radha Govindji temple, Radha Gopinath temple, and several famous temples, even Bank Bihari temple, Krishna Balarama temple, Rangaji temple, Radha Vallabha temple, Nidhivan and Seva Kunja. Also in the nearby Vrindavan, where Lord Krishna spent his childhood days, there is a galaxy of temples, which is also very pious for the pilgrims. It is 12 kilometers away from Mathura. Other important religious events observed by pilgrims in the precincts of Mathura and Vrindavan are the Vrindavan Parikrama, mean religious practice, or Pradakshina means circumambulation around the temples along a prescribed path, and Vrajamandala Parikrama during October-November, which takes 3 months to complete on foot, as it includes going around the Govardhana hill apart from several other shrines. It is also located about 50 kilometers north of Agra and 150 kilometers south of Delhi, about 20 kilometers from only Vrindavan. Now we can say Maya. Maya means Mayapuri or Haridwar. Three names are same, similar. Haridwar literally means gateway to God Vishnu. Haridwaramu. Dwaram means gate. Hari means Lord Vishnu. So gateway to Lord Vishnu, or gateway to Lord Shiva. Haridwar. Haridwar Vishnu. Haridwar Shiva. It is the holiest city in the state of Uttarakhand. It is strategically located on the western bank of the river Ganges, as it emerges into the plains at the exact location where the Har Ki Pauri Ghat has been built to facilitate pilgrims to take a holy bath or holy dip. It is thus also called the Ganga Dwara, gateway to Ganges, the place where Ganges descends to the plains. Every year, thousands of people flock to Haridwar to bathe at the Har Ki Pauri Ghat. Ghat is an embankment structure built out of stone slabs leading to the river edge to facilitate bathing. Since it is believed that the feet of Lord Vishnu is imprinted on a rock prescribed here. Every evening at sunset time at the Ghat, thousands of pilgrims offer Aarti, a Hindu ritual of offering lights of earthen lamps on small floating leaf holders with flowers as the temple bells reverberate amidst chanting of hymns. Legend from Hindu scriptures state that Haridwar is one among the 4 sites where drops of Amrita, mean nectar, the elixir of immortality, accidentally spilled over from the pitcher in which it was being carried away by the celestial bird Garuda after the Samudra Manthan, mean churning of the ocean. The other three places are said to be Ujjaini, Nasik, and Allahabad. Another legend narrated for this pilgrim place is that sage Kapila had cursed the ancestor of Prince Bhagirath to remain into ashes. They are called Sagaraputras. Bhagirath, the great grandson of them, therefore wanted to atone for their sins by performing penance to God Shiva here. Shiva, pleased with the prayers of Bhagirath, allowed the Ganges to trickle through his locks, and fall on the earth from the heaven. It is from here that Ganges emerging out of this Shiva as hair locks, that is called Shivalik hills of Rudra. Himalayas travels a distance of 2000 kilometers through the fertile Gangetic plains of North India. It is also the site where the river has been tapped for beneficial uses of irrigation and hydropower generation by a complex system of barrages with large canal systems. Its hoary history closely spun around the epic Mahabharata, also substantiated in the travelogues of the Chinese chronicle Heaven Song, records that Timurlan had ransacked this town in the year 1399 AD. Apart from the holy god, there are a large number of temples in the city dedicated to Lord Shiva, goddess Shakti, Parvati, or Durga. A cable carway has been built to approach this temple, apart from the ancient approach by steps over the hills, Vishnu and a galaxy of other deities, Devatas. It is a pious location where Hindu from all parts of the country, particularly North India, immerse ashes of the dead and perform last rituals or last rites. Apart from the regular annual pilgrimage season from April to November, during February-March, Magha Mela is also held on a large scale. Other spectacular events that held here are the Ardh Kumbh Mela, half Kumbh Mela, held every 6 years. The 12 years cycle Kumbh Mela is held during January or February, depending on the Hindu Kalmanak or Hindu Panchanga. It is the occasion when lakhs of people congregate here for a holy dip like this. In the Ganges, the Kumbh Mela festival of parts is a confluence of faith, since lakhs of people, irrespective of their caste affiliations, attend it. Astrological combination of planets decide the date for the event, generally when Jupiter, Sun and Moon are in the same zodiac sign of the Aquarius. But in the Haridwar, it is fixed when Sun is in Aries and Jupiter in Aquarius, which is called the Vaishakhi Snan. Vaisakha is the second month of Hindu calendar and Snan means bathing. Haridwar is located at the foothills of the Himalayas. Haridwar is a city of temples and ashramas and its pious ambience. envelops every way. Haridwar is one of the four holy Indian cities that host the Kumbh Mela, a pious gathering of millions of Hindu devotees every 12 years. Pushkara means 12 years. It also hosts the Kanwar Mela every year during the rainy season. The Panchatirth are the five pilgrimages located within the periphery of Haridwar are Gangadwara, Kushwarth, Kankhad, Bilvatida and Neelaparvata. Thus, Haridwar serves as the gateway to the Char Dham, four holy places of Uttarakhand as well. This is first part of 7 pilgrimages in India. श्रीयकांताय कल्याण निधे निधेन्द्राम श्री वेंकट निवासाय श्रीनिवासाय मंगलम मंगलाशासनपदे पदाचार्य पुरोगमैः सर्वैश्च पूर्वैराचार्यै सत्कृतायास्तु मंगलम्.